Hi everyone, this is Niharika from Your Legal Career Coach. We are a mentorship platform for law students, and on our YouTube channel, you will find us interviewing students and industry professionals to make your journey easier. Today, we have with us Chandana Murali, who graduated from DSNLU Visakhapatnam in 2023 and pursued her master's in international dispute settlement, that is the MIDS program. She is currently interning as an international arbitration intern at ANO Sherman. And in this session, she will talk about her journey of pursuing an LLM from the MIDS. Welcome, Chandana. I request you to please introduce yourself to our audience, after which we can begin with the session. Over to you.
Of course. Hi, Niharika. Thank you for inviting me in the first place. And thinking that I can speak on these things and help people is really, it's giving me a lot of joy because when I was on the other side, other end of this screen, I was really looking forward to see as many videos as possible on these things. And I always thought that I also want to be someday in a position where I can also kind of give back. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to kind of help students. And even if there's one person who gets a little bit of information out of this video, I think I would have kind of succeeded in it. Um, Coming to my introduction, as you mentioned, I'm currently interning here in Bratislava at ANO Sherman. Before this, I was doing a one-year master's program, the MIDS program. It's the full form is Masters in International Dispute Settlement. So it was a mix of public international law and private international law. So we dealt with ICJ proceedings, a little bit of ICC, commercial arbitration, investment arbitration. Of course, we'll get much into this in the later part. And then, yes, I did the MIDS program. It's a joint program by University of Geneva Graduate Institute and CIDS, the center. So I'll talk more about how it being a joint program helped further and why I kind of chose this program compared to the other ones. But yeah, so far I think it's a good introduction for the program.
Right. To start with, you immediately opted to pursue your master's. So, what was the rationale behind taking that decision? And did you not think of getting some experience, work experience, before applying for an LLM?
Right. So as soon as I joined bachelor's, I was kind of sure that I want to do an LLM immediately afterwards. But back then, it was just a kind of like an uninformed decision that I had made in my mind because I was sure that I wanted to work abroad and not in India. And LLM seemed like a natural step towards working abroad because it's not really easy for students to get an opportunity to work abroad without an LLM. So LLM is like an entry gate to work abroad. That's how the idea started in the first place in the initial years of my law school. But over a period of time, it kind of solidified when I understood what kind of specialization I wanted to do. And because I wanted to pursue in arbitration, um, and not a lot of law firms in India really practice arbitration. I was not really keen on joining chambers or doing litigation. I wanted to join a law firm, and except for I think two or three, not a lot of firms deal in arbitration. So that also kind of encouraged me to do a master's abroad, and then kind of because Europe and the US are the places for arbitration, so it made sense to kind of go abroad and study. Now, it also depends on the kind of universities or the place where you want to apply. If you're sure that you want to go to the US, then most of the universities, like really good universities, they have a requirement for work experience. So then you don't really have a choice. If you're sure that you want to go to Stanford, then you need to work before you can go to Stanford. But when I was applying, I was sure that I don't want to go to any of the universities in the US. I was very keen on universities in London and in other parts of Europe. And most of these universities did not require a work experience. So that also kind of pushed me to pursue LLM immediately. But I also wanted to kind of make sure that I'm making an informed decision. So, of course, I talked to a lot of people on LinkedIn. I just reached out to thousands of people on LinkedIn, my seniors from my university. And during my law school, I did a couple of extracurricular activities. So I met a lot of other people as well. So I could take their guidance. But honestly, if you're going to talk to hundreds of people, you're going to get a lot of mixed advices. So it kind of again you come to the same confusing state. So at the end, it's really your gut feeling as to what you think is your calling, and also depends on your personal factors, right? Like how your family is, how is the financial situation of the family, how
Right.
supportive is it, like does it make sense personally to go abroad at that point of like stage in life. So all of that kind of enabled me to go abroad immediately. One thing that kind of pushed me, like which was like the final push that I needed, was that somebody who I finally like filtered it down to two people who I thought I could take advice from and would give like the highest credible value to their advice. And they both said kind of that even if you're going to work here in India, because not a lot of law firms do practice in this specific field, even if you get an experience in this, would it really help you in the LLM that you're going to do, which is very specific and very niche?
Mm.
Because maybe it won't be relevant, like both the experience that you gain and what you're going to study. So might as well just go immediately and study, and that kind of made sense to me. So I just felt like everything is kind of pushing me to the direction of doing the LLM immediately. And yes, but I would suggest that it depends on so many factors, but I would really advise people to go with their instincts, because I think in the end it you just want an external assurance.
Right.
So talk to as many people as you want, but in the end it's your decision, because they all don't know your circumstances, only you do. So yeah, I would suggest go with your gut feeling.
So in retrospect, it was the right decision.
Yes, yes, it was the right decision, because I don't see myself working in India, at least for like the next few years, the initial part of my career, because I know that it's not for me. I cannot do litigation. I cannot work in chambers. I need the corporate structure. I need uh, the kind of clarity in hierarchy, as in, of course, not the strict hierarchy in a toxic sense, but
Right.
in a good sense. And corporate law firms provided me that clarity. So it seemed the most sensible thing for myself.
Right. What were the key factors that led you to choose this program for your LLM, and did you also receive any other offers?
Right. So since this was my plan A, my plan B was doing a clerkship with any of the judges, like probably Delhi High Court judge, or because I was from Hyderabad, maybe Telangana High Court judge. But because I was really sure, like 95% that I want to do this LLM, I applied to around 12 universities, which is quite a lot. I don't think a lot of people do that, but I was just putting a lot of backup colleges and then backup for those colleges and then the next layer of backup. So I applied to 12 universities, which is insane. But I was sure that I want to do a specialization. So I mostly applied to universities that provided this specialization. But again, I also applied to Cambridge and Oxford, which are general LLM programs, but I just applied because I was fascinated by the fact that they are Cambridge and Oxford. um, so I got into Cambridge. I got into KCL, QMUL, UCL, Edinburgh, and I had also applied to a few universities in Asia. So I applied to NUS, SMU, and I applied to Leiden in Netherlands and the MIDS program in Geneva. And finally, I had to decide between MIDS and Cambridge. MIDS was the specialization, and Cambridge was the general LLM course. And back when I was like 2 years ago, 1.5 year ago, London was not really in a good place.
Right.
And I think it still is not really in a great place. So, and more so, it was like a very theoretical course. Like I think Cambridge, the course that they have, the general LLM, it's more theoretical. And I was not really looking forward to a course like that,
Right.
because most of the LLB programs in India are kind of classroom based.
Right.
And my university, because we could do only like 1 month internships, so I would only do 1 month internships twice in a year. So I wanted a course that also had practical aspects to it, so that I can kind of cover the gap of not having a work experience in India. So I chose MIDS. Coming to what are the key factors that led me to choose MIDS, as I said, they have a good balance of academic and practical aspects. Our course was structured in a way that we could interact with a lot of practitioners on a day-to-day basis, because the university, like the Graduate Institute of Geneva, is very renowned throughout Europe, and Geneva as a place is where international dispute settlement was born. So there are so many law firms, so many boutique chambers that deal in arbitration. They come to this university, they come for this program, and our course structure has. I'll elaborate more on this in some time. So our structure is we have general courses and intensive courses. For the intensive courses, it was like a very short 3 day or 2 day course, 8 hours per day, and a practitioner would come for just 2 or 3 days, and they teach like a complete comprehensive knowledge on that specific subject. So the topic would be like very niche, like sports arbitration or ethics in arbitration, arbitration agreement in arbitration. So it was very niche, but practitioners from all over the world would come to teach for 2 to 3 days. And this also kind of helps you to make connection with people who are working, which would later on help you in your professional journey to kind of, be in touch with them, see if they have any open opportunities, and if you can do an internship. So the course kind of helps you to meet people who are actually practicing, and then it's on you to kind of make that connection with that person, make them remember you in the future, so that if you reach out to them for some kind of help, they kind of know you. Plus mids itself has this kind of like a brand value in Europe, especially because whenever I go, like as a part of my program, I could go to conferences abroad as well. And as soon as I would say that I'm from the MIDS program, they know the program. So it's very well recognized, and it kind of sets you apart in that crowd when you say that you're from this program. So all of these things kind of helped me to choose this program over the LLM in Cambridge. Coming to the structure of the course, as I said, we have the intensive course, but we also had a lot of workshops, seminars, field trips. So as a part of the program, you would visit the ICC in Paris, you would visit the PCA in The Hague. Then you're also kind of given options to choose from international conferences. So there were conferences in Italy, Spain, Paris, London, and you can choose anyone, and they would kind of sponsor everything to kind of attend that conference. So again, there you can make so many connections, and all of them are so, like, in general, what I've noticed is that the arbitration community is really small, very well connected, and they are very open to new people. So mids basically gives you access to these rooms, to these people, and then it's on you to make that connection, to be this kind of like a person who can sort of sell themselves, like, how you can be remarkable, and leave them with a with an impression of yourself. So mids really helps you in giving you access to these rooms and these people, and that kind of helps you career wise as well later on. So
Right.
these things were like, obviously I have to choose this course because it is one of the best courses for this particular specialization. And yeah, and I think I made the right choice.
Right. Can you please share the application process for the MEDS program for international students and how should one prepare for the same?
Right. It's fairly simple. It's not really that complicated because I believe me, I went through so many portals because I applied to 12 universities, and they just ask so many questions and you just have to answer everything. Like, even if there's something optional, it's not really optional. You have to kind of add something from your life to kind of let them know what kind of a person you are. But of all the applications that I made, MIDS was the most easiest. It was very straightforward, simple. kind of like no nonsense application portal. They don't have an application fee, so that is also like a really good plus point, because it's such an amazing course, but it's not as expensive as the universities in London, because it ranges from like £50 £50,000, I think it starts, the tuition fee and everything. But the MIDS program is comparatively cheaper, but it's the best in the specialization, so it's the perfect combination for students from India, I think. Because of all the people that I've talked to, finance seems to be like the biggest hurdle when they're applying for an LLM. So I think for students, this kind of a program is really good. Coming to the application process, I mean, it's just like one portal. You have to, it's the regular. You have to apply for the LOR, upload the LORs, your SOP, your CV, IELTS report, and that's it. I think they only ask for 4 or 5 documents. You just upload them. You give the basic details about where are you studying, blah blah blah. And I think recently this year they changed the qualification to apply. When I applied, you'd not require professional experience, but I think now this year they have changed. So now you need kind of like some professional experience to apply to the MITS. So that's a bummer, but yeah, I think I don't know why they changed it, but now you need professional experience before you apply. So they need a degree from your undergraduation as well as one of the documents to upload. Um, then MIDS also have this requirement to upload an article or like a paper that you have written. It is optional, so I didn't really upload it because I did not have a specific paper that I had written on international dispute settlement, and I did not have the time to write a paper then and there and submit it. So, and it was optional, so I did not apply it, and a lot of my classmates also did not upload it. So, I'm not sure how important that is in the decision making process, but I did not submit a paper, a 10-page extract. Other than that, the application process is very simple and easy. I don't think there's any confusion. Plus, if you email them, they are very responsive. The admin office is amazing. They reply within like 24 hours. So you can email them with any doubts and they'd be very responsive.
Right. What is the typical class size for LLM students, and how does this impact the classroom experience and the student-faculty interactions?
Right. So in our class, we had around 36 students. It's fairly small, I think. And yes, of course, like having a small class helps in having more interaction with the professors, more so when, so in my class we had a lot of people who had professional experience. So my class was never silent. It was always more of discussion. In fact, I think many times it has happened that the professor couldn't complete their the decided portion because we had so much conversation on the practical aspects. So it never felt like it's complete theory. There were so many discussions that would happen, and because students from different jurisdictions come in, there's different viewpoints. And yes, and they also kind of enable this kind of interactive learning. More so, the MITS course, they also have a tutorial part to it. So after every class you have, there's also a tutorial. So the entire class is divided into 4 or 5 sections, and for each 5 students there'd be a tutorial class. So this also kind of more, already the 36 student strength is pretty low compared to Indian classes. So you would get like a one-hand interaction with the professor. But again, what they kind of do is they again kind of divide the team into 5 to 6 students, and then you again get to, like, spend 2 hours with the professor, just those 5 students on the same topics that were discussed in the class, but maybe like in depth or an extended version with more case laws. So not just in classroom but also in these tutorials you could kind of interact with the professor more easily. You
Right.
can, and they also did like a lot of classroom based exercises where they'd ask you questions, you would had to discuss, partner with someone. So all of this kind of is possible when the classroom strength is a little bit less.
Right.
So mids also kind of Plus, it's also Cambridge and Oxford are known for their tutorial style system, and MIDS kind of mirrored that here as well.
Right.
But here, the number of students are already less, so the tutorial based is lesser and is more effective. So all of this also kind of helps you to not only just form that rapport with the professor, but also there are students who are not really open to speak up in a larger audience,
Right.
and this kind of setting helps them to kind of come over all of those hesitations.
Okay. As an international student, what resources and support systems did you find most valuable in transitioning to studying there?
I would say honestly, LinkedIn really helped me because I would just in my free time, like we scroll Instagram, I would scroll LinkedIn, and I would just send requests to hundreds of people every day and just blindly like message them that I'm planning to do this, I want to do this, you have done it before, can you help me in some way, can I just talk to you once over a call or over coffee, so that I can just know in general how it was. So LinkedIn really helped me to just connect to people because then you just know them on a personal level, and because you're coming from a place of I need help, a lot of people are open to kind of provide you with some kind of help. And honestly, I feel like when you talk to a lot of people, you just get so much perspective from a personal level, and not like in a more generic way, but how it actually is because they have went through it. So LinkedIn really helped me, but for this you need to start applying earlier, or you need to plan early because you need time uh, to first of all send messages to those people. They'll take much more time to reply to you, and they'll take more time to schedule a call with you or meet you. So for all of these things you need to start pretty early.
Mm.
So because I did that, I could take the chance of waiting more time for them to reply, and do this way. But the other way would be just YouTube videos like this one maybe, and just reading on Google or reaching out to the alumni is the only way that kind of helped me to get an idea on if this program is good, if this university is good, what are the career opportunities after, is it nice, does the university help, all of these basic questions. Usually if you text the alumni, they can help you pretty well. Other than that, I've always found the college's website also to be very helpful. I used to have this OneNote page where I would just put all the information in a page, so that if I just open that one tab, I'll get all the information that I need. I would copy paste all the YouTube links on that college. I would put down people's name that I have talked to, the advices they have given. So I think at the end it all comes down to planning and organizing so that you know where to go to get that information. And
Right.
for this, you need to start early.
Absolutely. Scholarships and financial aid are crucial for many students. So, could you discuss about the scholarship or any financial aid opportunities that the students can benefit during this LLM?
Right. So MITS has a partnership with a few law firms and a few organizations. So when you apply and if you're selected in the first round of decisions, then you are automatically kind of eligible to apply for these scholarships. I think there are around 6 to 7 scholarships that you can apply to. And of course, there's a different SOP process, a different letter of recommendation that you need to apply to. So most of the universities have in college scholarships. Other than that, there are also scholarships that you can apply in general, like outside of university, irrespective of which university you're going to. So for all the universities that I applied to, I of course applied for the in university scholarships. But other than that, there are also a lot of organizations in general that give out scholarships, like INLAX, KC Mahindra, Narottam, RD Setna. I have a list that perhaps I can send it to you. All of these have these are not related to like tied to any university. So irrespective of where you're applying, you can just apply to these scholarships. But again, their deadlines are way early, way before than your university. uh, and again, if you're applying to Cambridge, then you would know that there are colleges inside of University of Cambridge, and each of these colleges again have college based scholarships, so you can apply there as well. Other than that, it's pretty difficult um, to get into the scholarship thing. I feel, because I did not get any of the scholarships. I must have applied to around 20 or 25, but I did not get any scholarship whatsoever. But you should also look into what kind of scholarship your government gives. I'm not really sure about this, but I've heard a few people who applied for LLM. They said that their state government also had some kind of scheme for students going abroad to study, and they would give some kind of financial aid. So perhaps you can look into that. Again, I'm not sure which state government, if it's still there. I'm just saying that there's also an option that you can once check. But other than that, it's a little difficult process to get in, I feel. But of course, if you do have circumstances that you can justify really well that how important financing is for you, then I think it'll work. But um, I think if you are from like a middle class or upper middle class background, it could be a little difficult to kind of get scholarship. As much as I understand that one needs scholarship for going abroad, it is a bit tricky and difficult.
Right. So don't you have an option like the other institutes wherein you can just select the options of scholarships while filling your application form? So is it not the same here?
It for MIDS, it varies depending on the university. So for NUS, as far as I remember vaguely, you just have to like tick that do you want to be considered for scholarships or not, and you just tick one of the options, and whatever SOP you are sending in general for the course, they'd use that data to decide if they want to give you a scholarship. For a few universities like Cambridge, it's a completely different process. You have to apply from the start. For like, you have to give all the basic details again, you have to give a different SOP, you have to give a different LOR that kind of, argues why you should get the scholarship.
Mm.
So it really depends on the university. For a few universities, when you're applying itself, you can choose if you want to be considered and if you want to apply. For a few universities, only once you are selected, then you are qualified to apply for in university scholarships. So for MIDS, the process was first you need to get selected, then you would be eligible to apply for scholarships.
Right. Right. So now that you've concluded the MIDS program, what plans do you have for the future?
I aim to kind of work for some more time in Europe. Right now, I am working at ANO Sherman in the litigations team, and to be more specific, in the international arbitration team. And I think it's giving me the kind of experience that I was looking forward to. It's like directly tied to what I studied in my program. Especially, I'm working more specifically on investment arbitration cases than commercial arbitration. And I feel most of the things that I studied in this LLM kind of is helping me to contribute in a better way to the team here, because I did study international dispute settlement in my undergraduation, but I feel it's not really what you need in a practical sense. So very technical things like what is red phone schedule, the IBA guidelines on conflict of interest, all of these things that are actually relevant to your day to day cases was taught in the MITS program. So I feel it really kind of prepared me well to work in this kind of environment that I was actually looking forward to. In the future, I want to continue working in a similar setting in law firms in Europe, but I don't have a certain plan as of now. I'm still working towards it, but a vague outline that I have is that I want to be working in international arbitration teams based in Europe. I would say that law firms in Geneva, Paris, Germany. If you're more focused on Central and Eastern Europe, then maybe Austria, Bratislava. They are really good places for you to look for for career opportunities. But again, it depends on what kind of experience you're looking for. But I think MIDS prepared me really well for this kind of an environment.
Right. Lastly, based on your journey and experiences, what advice would you like to offer to current aspirants?
First would be to start early. I think it's one of the biggest mistakes, at least, that I've seen students do, because I've had a few people reach out to me on LinkedIn and they'd be like, I have the application deadline is, say, on 25th and today's 22nd. And they'd be like, can you please go over my SOP and tell me and what changes I can make? That's unfair. You cannot give a 3-day period to someone and expect them to kind of, go over the SOP and give more constructive suggestions. It won't give you enough time to work on those suggestions and make it better. So I would say start early. Do not expect that people you meet on LinkedIn are going to write the SOP for you, because I have had people asking me if I can write the SOP for them. There are agencies that you can pay, like
Right.
they offer such services, so you can pay them and get it those kind of help. But you can't expect that from people on LinkedIn to kind of write your SOP.
Right.
So I would say start really early, do a lot of research, because you need to be sure either of the country that you're applying to or the specific uh, specialization that you want. You have to have a concrete knowledge on at least one of the factors so that you can narrow down the research. So you just can't vaguely be like, I'm not going to apply to the universities in the US because I don't like the US. That's not a valid reason to not go to the universities in the US. So you need to do enough research and reach out to people on LinkedIn and organize and plan properly. I think starting at least in like third year would be good, which is too early, I understand. But I started in my third year and I think it really helped me, because the SOP, like the first SOP that I wrote, was, I think, 3 pages long, because I just wrote my life story like a novel. I just wrote everything that happened in my life related to related to law, related to the specialization. And it took me like 4 to 5 months to kind of filter it down, to see what I can remove, to how to make it more precise. I took a very lengthy process, but I wanted to do that because I wanted to put in that amount of hard work to it, because this was my plan A, there was a plan B. So I I would say starting early is the best thing that you can do. Even if in the end you decide not to do an LLM, it's okay. But if you wanted to, then there are so many external factors. There'll be a very short deadline. Most of the universities don't do a rolling basis thing, they have a specific deadline. So you need to see what the deadline is, you need to see which universities you want to apply to. Starting early is the best thing you can do.
Right. With this, I believe we have covered all the important things that we needed to know about the MIDS program. Thank you so very
Yes.
much for accommodating our request. I'm very positive this video
Yes.
will be of utmost help to everybody watching it. Once
Oh,
again,
I hope so.
once again, on behalf of YLCC, I wish you the very best and thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. I really wanted to do this because fortunately I found so many people who dedicated time to review my SOP and give me suggestions. And at that point I was just so happy that there are people who are willing to spend that much time on me, even though they are not getting anything in return. So I am really thankful to you for giving me the opportunity to do this and kind of help people. And of course, if there are any more questions or more specific to a particular university, of course, people can reach out to me directly. But thank you for at least introducing me to this crowd.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.